Well, the boys around here don't listen to the Beatles run. Old Bo Cephas threw a jukebox needle at the honky-tonk where they boot stomp all night. What? That's right. Yeah, and what they call work a digging in the dirt. Gotta get it in the ground before the rain come down to get paid, to get your girl and your four-wheel drive. Yeah, the boys around here drinking that ice-cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot a back, shoot a back, shoot a back, a spit. Oh, heck. Well, the boys around here, they're keeping it country. Ain't a damn one know how to do the Dougie. No, I'm not in Kentucky, but these girls around here, yep, they still love me. Yeah, the girls around here, they all deserve a whistle. Shaking that sugar sweet as Dixie Crystal. They like that yawling southern drawl and just can't help it 'cause they just keep falling for the boys around here. Drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back, shoot her back, shoot her back, spit.
Let's ride through the countryside. Let's ride down to the riverside.
Hey now, girl, hop inside. Me and you gonna take a little ride to the river. Let's ride. That's right. Lay a blanket on the ground. Kissing in the crickets is the only sound. We out of town. Have you ever got down with a do you wanna get down with a girl, you gotta get down with the boys around here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back. I'm one of them boys around here, drinking that ice cold beer, talking about girls, talking about trucks, running them red dirt roads out, kicking up dust. The boys around here sending up a prayer to the man upstairs. Backwoods legit, don't take no lip. Shoot her back and shoot her back and shoot her back and spit.
Well, another call. An impromptu, but I think it's important. Welcome to the WINGIT call. Today is April 26, 2016. It will be 1 hour and maybe 15 minutes long. I'm waiting for Rockstar to show up. And Pastor, can you come? I'm going to unmute you. Can you come in here and give the invocation, please?
Certainly can. It's good to be here today, and thank you that, Lord, that our lungs are working, we're able to take a breath, our heart's beating. Thank you that we have peace. Lord, bless the people with peace today and great information. Bless Jerry McGuire. Bless Iko, the rock star, and every person that calls in and all that are listening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, and thank you for that, because without our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we would be crap out of luck, people. Hence the term, what is the most important thing that ever happened on this planet? The empty tomb. Hello? Okay, hold on. Rockstar. Just one
I'm
second.
here.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
I'm here.
I've got to send Richard the number. Carry it for a little bit for me so we don't have dead air.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody. We're gonna try to give you a simple example of what the structured payout looks like from Wells Fargo. As most of you know, but I'll just review it again. There is
Iko?
Yeah.
I just forgot. I need to do something before we start. It's kind of important, and you'll understand. Pardon the interruption.
Okay, no, that's okay. I was just carrying it until you got back.
So we have a fellow denarian that's in quite a pickle, and I'm asking if you'll go to my webpage and make a donation. Any amount is fine. And if you do make a donation, please put in there in the comment line that it's for Okie. I've spoken with Okie. Okie is he's in the hospital right now, and he has some bills that desperately need to get paid. So if you could, would you please? Thank you. All right, that's it. Go ahead. Today is structured payouts. What are of our understanding how they're going to work. We're not attorneys, lawyers, financial advisors, but we have finish that out, Iko. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Anything I say cannot be used against me in a court of law. But yeah, we're not professionals. We're just trying to get across some concepts today, because there's a lot of confusion out there, a lot of mistrust of the banks, etc. Jerry, is Rich coming on or not?
Yes, I sent him the information, and I'm checking to see if he's here. Let me read.
I'm just wondering.
He's here. He's here.
Okay.
No, we need to let him go first. Richard, please go first.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I did a little bit of research.
I have started the recording, so if anybody asks.
Okay. I did a little research after hearing the call yesterday, and the confusion on some of what we're going to call the skeleton trust that might be offered by Wells Fargo to theoretically park an amount of money until you have a trust set up. And here's what I found, and I'm not going to get into the quality of the trust. I'm not going to get into anything except just the theory about the timing of the currency exchange. And one of the concerns that I have, and I wanted to find out more about it, is that the trust that the banks may set up for you may be very high quality, may be just fine. There are two issues, though. One is the fact that what I've found out is that the banks may want to ensure that they are the trustees or co-trustees, or at least the trustees of that trust. And since we don't know what those trusts look like, my suspicion is that they're going to be fined for asset protection, but the problem then comes in about deferral of capital gains taxes on the exchange of this currency, which is, if it stays the way it is right now, the laws say that this is going to be a capital gains event. We don't know, and I don't know, and I'm not suggesting that we know what's going to happen, but if the laws stay the same as they are right now, it's going to either be a short-term or long-term capital gains event. And so now we get into the timing of what qualifies that tax deferral. And there may be several trusts that indicate or say that they may offer the tax deferral. I just don't know. And I'm not going to get into any one trust. It may seem that it's self-serving that I'm saying this, and I hope that people don't take it like this, but I just want people to have the right information. In order to have tax deferral into an irrevocable trust that provides for tax deferral, the currency has to become a capital asset of that trust prior to the event of the currency increasing in value. From the first time that we somehow publicly or even semi-privately find out that it has increased in value, at least for us. The timing is not necessarily the exchange or when you convert it to U.S. dollars. The fact is that once this thing happens, what you're holding, what we're all holding in our grubby little hands will have increased in value, and therefore it needed to have been assigned into an irrevocable trust that provides for tax deferral prior to that event happening. And my concern about the trust that the banks may provide you is that it's going to be after the fact. And again, we don't know. I think my feeling is that Wells Fargo has a fair product, or is going to have a fair product for what they're going to offer, but it will not give anyone the opportunity to have assigned their currency into the trust, and it needs to be a capital asset of the trust prior to that increase in value before you're going to be offered any, or it's going to have any tax deferral. Now, I know that was my 2 cents worth here, and I know that we're not going to offer a Q&A right this moment on this issue, that we're going to get into some other things, but I'm going to stay on the phone, and if we want to have some questions afterwards, I'm fine with that.
All right. If you'll go ahead and mute out, please.
Yep.
Okay. Iko, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through this. I guess if we've got time, we can take calls after for clarification. But this is, after discussions with several people, this is my understanding of the structured payout from Wells Fargo. First, we've got to address the assumptions, because they're not going to go away. Number one is, if you have Zim, you will be exchanging it with Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo only. The rates are still in question, but they're phenomenal. Let's just say that. Your Zim is worth a lot of money. If your gross exchange is greater than $500 million, you are going to be put into a structured payout. There's no choice there, because you're exchanging with Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo is saying if it's more than $500 million, you have to go into a structured payout. That's it. The only way you cannot do that is simply don't cash in your Zim. You can go cash your other currencies in another bank, but if you're doing anything with Zim, you're going to be at Wells Fargo, and you are going to be higher than $500 million. So, with those assumptions in place, what I did was I made up a little spreadsheet just to give us an idea of the kind of money we're looking at, and essentially what we are agreeing to with the Wells Fargo structured payout. So let's use the $500 million as an example. We will have a choice, and our choices will then dictate the kind of rates we get, assuming we're over $500 million, which we're going to be. So let's just use the scenario where Wells Fargo hangs on to 75% of your principal. They give you 25% right up front the day you exchange to have access to. I'm going to use. You can have a yearly term of anywhere from 5 to 100 years. Again, that'll depend on how you want to negotiate and what your needs are. And then the interest rates will also fluctuate depending on how much and how long you leave it. But for this example, I'm going to use the 75%. I'm going to use a 20-year payout, and I'm going to use an interest rate of 10% because it makes the math simple. And I should note that 10% is going to be on the higher end of the deal. Your interest rate could be down at 6 or 7% if you're only doing a limited payout. So for $500 million, basically they let you keep $125 million, and $375 million goes into the structured fund. It's a very simple interest with a final payment type of architecture. So you're going to get a quarterly interest check every 90 days, right? Quarter is 90 days. Every 90 days, you're going to get a check from the bank that is yours to do with whatever you want. You can deposit into your own trust, as Richard was just mentioning, or spend it, put it in other investments. It's your money. That quarterly payment on a $500 million principal, actually $375 million principal with the bank, is $9,375,000. It doesn't matter whether you leave it in the bank for 5 years or 100 years. It's always going to be that 10% of your original principal divided by 4 into the year. So it's $9,375,000 every 90 days for the term of your payout. At the end of the term, like the end of the 20 years, they will have paid you a total of $750 million in interest. And then that final 90-day period of that 20 years, they're going to give you back your $375 million. So leaving that money with the bank, the 75% for 20 years, the 10% interest, your original $375 million will have actually grossed you $1 billion, 125 million. So that's the basic structure. It's real simple. Wells will be in control of their structured fund. So that $375 million, Wells does whatever they want to do with that money, so long as they give you that $9,375,000 every quarter. That's it. I don't know if we're going to be able to have influence on saying we don't want to invest in GMOs, we don't want to invest in big pharma, we don't want to invest in whatever. I don't know if we're going to have any control of that because this money's going into a general fund. The good news about that is their entire corporate structure protects that asset. It also does other things like keep Wells Fargo strong. Now, regardless of whether you like Wells Fargo or you like the banks, this is all in the spirit of the new transparent asset-backed banking structure. I know we could talk about that forever, and believe me, I've got my pluses and minuses with all this as well. But the bottom line is, we're not going to have a choice if we want to get these higher rates for our currencies, and especially with the ZIM. We're sort of being forced to do this. That's something we're just all going to have to get over if we want to cash in on the Zim. The fact of the matter is, let's say you've got 10 trillion notes. You're looking at a quarterly interest payment of $90 million. It's astronomical money. It's going to be enough money to do any philanthropic venture you desire. And I'm guessing after a certain period of time, once the planet adjusts to this influx of wealth, adjusts to the asset-backed nature of currency and all that, there's probably going to be room to negotiate further based on what your humanitarian efforts are. Because remember, the whole idea here is that people who are walking away with $1 trillion aren't walking away with $1 trillion worth of toys. They're only walking away with $250 billion worth of toys, and the rest they've got to do some good with. And I think that's the basic premise here. It's a governor so that all of this new wealth doesn't get dumped on the system like Jerry's analogy yesterday, water in your lawn with fire truck. It's the intention. Yes, the bank's going to make money. Okay, the bank's going to make money. No two ways about it. We didn't invent the bank, and we don't own the bank. But we are along for this ride, and this is what they've set up. There are going to be various interest rates depending on the amount, depending on the time you want to leave it in. So this one example is just a baseline example to give you an idea of the money we're actually looking at. And one thing I will say that I like about it is with the amount of currency I am exchanging, I now have an entire corporate entity, not just an accountant, a lawyer, and a couple of other folks, but I've got the entire Wells Fargo structure watching out and managing this incredible amount of capital, so that I'm free to do my philanthropic programs and also have some fun and not get bogged down with a 24/7 job of managing that kind of money. So, Jerry, I guess that's the start of the discussion. I don't know what else to say at this point.
Well, hold on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just muting some people out.
Okay. One thing, guys, with your questions, it's an impossible discussion in an hour to talk about what the banks are going to look like in the near future. I guess there's some assumptions here that like I said before, I'll just repeat it. We're going to have a bank to help manage our wealth, and the Zim is Wells Fargo's baby. They own it lock, stock, and barrel. So if we want to deal with the Zim, if we want to exchange the Zim, we are going to have to play by their rules. I think there is room for, I don't want to say bending those rules, but amending those rules and discussing these things. But just at this initial exchange, there's basically going to be a set criteria, and we're either going to agree to it or not.
They have done their due diligence. They've got a lot invested in this, and as any business owner, they're wanting a little return on doing their due diligence and basically funding the whole thing. So why shouldn't they get a return on their investment? That's how you need to that's how you need to look at it. So I'm going to read a couple of things here. One of them is the very first one. It's kind of not about what we're talking about, but it will be. The wealth manager at my Wells Fargo told me this was all a scam and to take my $100 and go out and have a nice dinner. Now we are expected to trust these same people with trusts and the lion's share of our principal. I've spent tens of thousands of USD accumulating my foreign currency holdings and have been eating ramen noodles for 3 years so I can fund my humanitarian projects. All I got to say, that's real redneck, all I got to say. What I'm going to tell you is keep eating ramen noodles, because he who laughs first will be crying in the last. He's laughing at you, and in the end, he's going to be crying in his beer, because all of a sudden, you're going to be gone. He's not going to see you again. And if you're talking to a wealth manager, it's at a lower level, and he doesn't know squat. I hate it that, there's people like that. Best part of living better is to never see him again, and they wonder what happened. Now, here's the next question. Will I be offered a lower rate because I hold so much compared to someone with only a couple of notes? Nope. The meek of the earth, that's the earth, we are being given an opportunity to make a big difference, because they know our hearts at the lower level are giving. So when you see all these zeros to the left of the decimal point, and all of a sudden your eyes roll back in your head, when they come back into vision, focus, just remember all the things you thought about for the years or months that led up to this. Second question, how will they guarantee my principal? Because countries are backing the Zim. It has plenty of backing. That's all I'm going to say. I've been told, and I'm not going to go into it here. 3, sound business practice dictates that you never leave all your eggs in one basket. Isn't Wells Fargo violating common sense at business practice by herding us all into structured payouts for the majority of our principal? And that being said, how is it that that's in our best interest? Goes back to the very beginning. They've invested in this. They've got things set up. This is a business to them. They've positioned themselves to do this while the rest of the banks really didn't have our best interest at heart. You have to have your money in some banks. So what difference is Wells Fargo versus the other top 3 or 4? I could name many reasons, but it's not my place. I have my own opinions, and I personally am going to go with Wells Fargo of my own free will and volition, because I like what I see. End of statement on that. Will we have any say in how they invest our funds, as my total net worth will be substantial percentage of the bank's net worth? Not as big a percentage as you think, especially if other people are getting the same type of rate. You might be 1% or 0.5%. You got to understand. Well, let me rephrase that. You will understand once you see what they're offering when you're in the exchange. Hi, Jerry. My question is this a forced structured payout acceptance, or can you decline? That is your free will to do whatever you want. But I believe if you decline, you'll be asked to come back and you'll get a substantial lower rate. And thereby declining, I have heard you want to get the higher rate. What say you? I just answered that. I cannot understand why you should only get 10% and the bank's 90%. Who calls the shots? Well, depending on your structured payout, you're going to get more percentage. The longer you leave it in the bank, the more of a percentage you're going to have initial access to. Did I explain that correct, Iko?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, you know what? I'm sorry. I was playing with the spreadsheet. You better repeat it before we say yes.
It says, my question is this forced structured payout acceptance? the structured payout acceptance, or can you decline? And thereby declining, I have heard you will not get the higher rate. And I said, exactly. They might ask you to come back if you don't want to take a structured payout. They'll say, okay, step over here to the back of the line and go out this door over here, and we'll see you later. And I cannot understand why you should only get 10% and the bank's 90% who calls the shots. Well, I explained that earlier, but I believe, let's see. Let me read this question. It'll help out. I would like to diversify my portfolio. My original plan was to have 25% of my funds in 4 different Tier 1 banks. Well, we were just talking about that. Yes, but we were just talking about if you want to stay with Wells Fargo structured payout, depending on the time, you're looking at anywhere between them keeping 75% and possibly a little higher. That all depends on you. Wells Fargo has, again, they have skin in the game. They've set this whole thing up. They are the master author of this plan. If anybody, have you heard about anybody else using the Zim from the get-go in the first couple of days? No, because they haven't positioned themselves like Wells Fargo has. So, you know, if you've got 25% left, if you want to diversify around to 4 different banks, absolutely. It says having all or most of my funds locked into a single bank structured payout system seems to be risky for me. Is there a strategy that would allow me to get the higher rates requiring a structured payout but spread the risk across multiple banks? Not once you make the deal with Wells Fargo, that percentage you've agreed to stays with their bank and there's no spreading it around. They're here to make money and they're here to keep you happy. And if you're not making money, you're not going to be happy. And that goes with the percentage that you're leaving with them of your own personal in their bank. That's more money to their bottom line. They're not here rake us across the coals. They're here to spread the wealth. And besides, this is about humanity. So we've got to think about it like this. When you see what's offered on the table, my eyes have, after weeks of hearing about the rates, have finally went from, saucer size, oh my God, to they're starting to, shrink back down to normal size. For a while there, I looked like one of those little monkeys with big eyes. Holy cow. That was just some questions that were sent in.
Hey, Jerry, yeah, a couple of observations.
Sure.
Don't forget, it's you can start at a 5-year payout. You don't have to take a 20-year payout. You can take a 5-year payout. So at the end of that 5 years, you get all the principal that they kept. You get it back, and in the meantime, you get the interest payment. The interest payment doesn't change. It's always, whether you're doing it for 5 years or 100 years, that quarterly interest payout is a constant. It's just the longer you leave it in, the more interest they pay you. And it's a sure thing. It's a guaranteed interest rate. It is not dependent on the markets because it's going into this general pool. The law of large numbers applies to this general pool. The law of large numbers is a very difficult thing to explain. I took 4 classes on it, so I spent 16 hours looking at it before I finally realized what it did in the realm of finance. Yes, Wells Fargo's got to make money on this. Okay, yes, it's their game and it's their rules, but it's also protection for us. It's also protection for the world economies. Don't forget, you've got that initial payout amount to invest as you see fit and diversify as you see fit. you've got an incredible quarterly dividend payout.
I
You
go.
again can invest and take fit. What?
Just for grins and giggles, if you've got your spreadsheet up there, just plug in $1 billion and tell the people what kind of payout they're going to get quarterly, and go on a do it on a 20-year payout, because I know your system's pretty quick.
Right. And you're saying $1 billion?
$1 billion.
Well, I don't think we should. I think why don't we just call a spade and say that anybody who's holding Zim is going to be looking at least $10 billion in a return if they go with Wells Fargo. Why don't we just use that? Because that's a real number. All right? And my whole system why did it short out? Hold on. Oh, great. Oh, sorry. There we go. There we go. Okay, so let's say we gross $10 billion. All right? Wells Fargo, I'm just going to throw out hypotheticals. Wells Fargo is going to give us $2.5 billion, and they're going to keep $7.5 billion. They're going to give us a 10% interest rate. Again, this is just for argument's sake. And we're going to do it for 20 years. Okay? So that means every 90 days, Wells Fargo is going to write us a check for $187,500,000 every 90 days for the next 20 years. And then at the end of that 20 years, they're going to give us back our $7.5 billion. So we will have made with them $45 billion at the end of 20 years.
Okay,
that's a lot of money,
let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just on $7.5 billion. I know that we're just flippantly throwing figures around, but if you're getting interest of $184 billion,
$187 million every 90 days.
$187 million. Okay, so in 6 months, you've made over almost $400 million. Now let's think about this realistically. If you spend $1 million a day, you still wouldn't spend all the interest you just made on it.
That's right.
So and
you will have to pay taxes on that interest if you're spending it, but that's
yeah, if you're spending it. But the thing is, why, unless you're set up for it as a financial firm, why have the headache of growing it and do something with it when the bank has been working on this for the people of the plan, authors of the plan, HSBC, Wells Fargo? They've been working on this plan for years. Why not give them an opportunity? If they're giving you the rate, if you don't like a 20-year, do a 5-year. And after 5 years, if you don't like what they're doing for you, it's 5 years if you just made lots of money. And you can say, you know what, I'm taking it over here to another bank. And they'll go, okay. Or they're going to say, well, what? How can we work this out to remain, your bank? They want your business, and they're not trying to screw us like the old system. The old system was what fractional banking is the term I'm looking for. You used to go in there, if you deposited $100, they could turn around and loan out $900. The way they had the system set up. I don't think it's going to quite work like this now. That's why we're having a big change.
I agree.
So I'm going to get off my soapbox here.
Okay. This also speaks to some strategies. For example, if you only take a 5-year payout,
go ahead.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
And then I've got a question in here, and this is one of those.
Hey, JR.
Yes, sir.
I am back. Just to make a quick point. If you only took a 5-year payout, at the end of the 5 years, you get to renegotiate. That's one strategy. The other strategy is you can take a 100-year payout and just never worry about it again. You're still getting, whether it's a 5-year payout or a 100-year payout, you're still getting that $187,500,000 every 90 days. Okay, this isn't an annuity. Don't get it confused with an annuity structure. This is a simple interest off of principal payout for a certain term, guaranteed, and then you get your principal back. So, just wanted to point that out. If you start to look at this thing, there is negotiation room built into it. Granted, it's not total freedom with all of your money, but if everybody who has Zim right now, I mean, there are multi-trillionaires in this audience with the amount of Zim they have. There are an equal number of multi-billionaires. Managing that, this is all about money management. This is all about creating a new economy. And I'll probably repeat myself several times during the call, but this has been thought out by some pretty decent minds as to what the pros and cons of having this kind of currency out there is. And this is what they've come up with.
Okay, so so you're saying on 500 million, if you reached that level where structured payouts start, that the bank, if you went along with a payout or a structured payout that allowed you to keep 25%, then the bank would keep 375 million and you'd get 125 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about the federal taxes at 50% tax? You would not even get enough to pay your own federal income tax. I'm thinking the bank is not.
Oh, is that something you've been sent?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You're
not being taxed.
Okay.
Everybody needs to understand that. You're not getting taxed on the exchange event so long as you put the money into a trust. And it's an open question right now as to whether you would be taxed on the interest you're getting if you dump that into another trust.
Right, because you're going from one.
Yes, one trust to another. That may be a deferred event as well. But you know what? If you've got to pay interest on 187 million, if you've got to pay a 15% tax or 17% tax on 187 million dollars, gee, I really feel sorry for you. You know, my heart goes out to you. I hope you can handle the balance. You know, it's just this. I don't know. I'm tired, but I'm fed up with people not wanting to pay any tax on anything. The country can't run, irregardless of how crookedly it's run. It still needs money to run. So get used to it. You know, there's going to be a tax. Even if Nassara takes over, there's going to be a tax. Whether it's a flat tax, whether it's a sales tax, whatever. You know, I really just that's my own pet peeve. But I wish people would stop trying to not pay taxes.
So here's the next. I'm just picking random questions. Jerry, is the age cutoff for structured payouts still 60? As far as you know, I will be 59 later this year and don't know if there will be room for negotiation there. I guess I can ask and see at the time of the exchange. Correct. Thanks for all you do. I'm a Blue Moon lover as well. If you ever want to change a pace, try a Harvest Moon. Yeah, I didn't like it. Let's assume with structured payouts, we get 10% up front and remainder would go into a structured payout. I assume this means the bank can use our money in any way they desire, and they will pay us a quarterly interest payments on our money. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. If the bank invests our money in a risky investment and loses some of the principal, is our original principal guaranteed in any way? I don't know. I don't think they're in business to lose money.
No, my understanding is yes. My understanding is yes. That's why it's going into the general fund. The general fund is completely 100% asset protected. And again, this concept, it's called the law of large numbers. I can't explain it. It'd be like trying to explain quantum physics in three simple sentences. The protection provided by this general fund, especially since it's going to be backed by the yuan and not the U.S. dollar, it's going to be in an asset-backed economy. There's all kinds of reasons not to worry. And, guys, it's going to take a leap of faith. Sorry, but it is. We're on the ground floor of co-creating the new world economy. We're going to have a say in it. You got to believe that, especially with the amount of money that we have and the power and influence that goes along with it. You got to remember, Bill Gates is only worth what, $90 billion? Okay, he's not even a trillionaire. I know 8 people on this call who are multi-trillionaires. I hope you get where I'm coming from. It's going to be a new age. It's going to be very, very, very different. And this structured payout is part of trying to land us softly in a straight line instead of getting dumped into a high LZ. Okay, I don't know how else to equate it. There's so much that has to be learned, and we got to bite off a little bit at a time. We can't eat the whole cow in one mouthful.
Let's see here. If you have a currency in addition to Zim, will it all be in a structured payout or just the funds from the Zim? We do not want to leave all of our funds at Wells Fargo. Want to diversify and have some at different banks. We talked about that, didn't we, Iko?
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
No, I'm talking about if they have other currency than Zim, like VND and the dinar. Will there be a structured payout for them?
No, not unless it's more than not. Well, you know what? Hold on, that's a good point.
Well, I think we heard some figures.
That's right. We did.
Isn't it 2 and then 5?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you make. Okay,
right. So the short answer is, if you take your other currencies to other banks, and let's say your VNN doesn't come out to more than $2 billion, and your dinar doesn't come out to more than $5 billion, you would not be subject to a structured payout on those currencies. The trade-off is, if you take those other currencies, and you'll have to do your own math, if you take those other currencies to other banks and don't do it at Wells, you're not going to get as good a rate. By sticking with Wells, you will get the best rates available on all the currencies. You got to take your Zim there, but if you take your other currencies along with your Zim, you're going to get better rates than at the other banks. That's my understanding.
So
So
the people. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, so it gets a little complicated. If let's say I'll just throw out a hypothetical. If you cash in, excuse me, what a dirty word.
Yeah,
if you
shame on you.
Yeah, if you exchange your dinar along with your zim at Wells, and Wells gives you $10 for your dinar. We all know it's going to be better than that, but let's say they give you $10 for your dinar. If you don't and take it over to Chase, Chase may only offer you $7 for your dinar. So then you've got a math equation where, well, do I take the better rate and lump that in with my Zim and take a structured payout on the better rate, or is the $7 per dinar netting me more money up front? And there's a break-even point there. You'd have to come up with a formula to figure it out. But the other thing in all this, even if you have 100 trillion note, just one Zim note, the amount you're getting for your other currencies is going to be almost inconsequential. That's unless you're walking around with 100 million dinar and 200 million dong. If you're the average person with dinar holdings and dong holdings, and you've got one Zim note, just one, it's a no-brainer. Just go to Wells Fargo, get it over with, and go live happily ever after.
Yeah. Do you want to spend your entire life managing all that money, or do you want to relax, drink a few umbrella drinks, wiggle your toes in the white sand, or do you want to be worried about making money or losing money? Do you want to leave that to the professionals? Personally, I think I know what I want to do. I want to drive around in my Texas Cadillac wearing starch bib overalls and, with a big grin on my face.
And if you do want to manage your own money, take the 5-year term. Learn how to do it and then go do it. There's flexibility here. It takes a while to wrap your head around it, but there is flexibility in what Wells Fargo is offering.
I've been chastised, Iko.
Okay.
Would you like to know why I've been chastised?
You're a shill for Wells Fargo. Let me think.
No, I've been jumping around on the questions, and I have not been going in chronological order, and I've been chastised.
Okay. Well,
and so
go ahead and do it.
I know.
And guys, just a quick aside. Forgive my energy today, but I've had nothing but negative texts and phone calls for the past 2 days, all based on people's fears. Nobody's looking at this thing at the amount of joy it's going to give us. They're all looking at it through scaredy cat eyes, and at least the correspondences I've had. And I'm pretty tired and a little fed up. So my apologies. I know you're not all coming from that point, but
right. And
it's getting rough here at the end. Let's put it that way.
Iko and I both we're tired, but hey, I signed up for the long haul, and I'm like the British. I'm keeping a stiff upper lip. In my lip hurts. So, it affects all of us, and my apologies if I come across a little gruff sometimes, because some of the questions, yes, we've answered many times, but there's a lot of new people, and I have to remind myself that they've only been in it a short time, and I've had years and many people to talk about this, and everybody would get a kick out of this that's married or has a girlfriend. You spend more damn time talking to other people than you do me. Can I have some me time? Well, yeah, baby. Bring. That's what I'm talking about. The damn phone rings all the time. I said, well, it's important to our future, and I'm trying to take care of it. Well, I'd like a little me time. Well, I got 20 minutes if you've got 20. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to go do something. So, and I can't fault for my sweetie talking like that because she's been a real trooper up until the last couple months, and she's, bless her heart, I've learned to duck. Not because she's throwing things, because verbal sparring gets a little rough, and so I'm ducking. Luckily, she loves me for who I am, and just wants to say, I don't want to meet anybody. I just want to be left alone. And I've told her point blank, that's not happening. Too many people want to hug your neck and give you a medal and already have you nominated for sainthood just because you're married to me, and I don't know why. They don't know you. So my apologies also for being a little short sometimes. So that we've got about 10 minutes left here. And so I'm just going to hit the list here. And let me where I need to go down. Nope, they're gone. I was going to go. Nope, there he is right there. I'm sorry. Richard, I'm unmuting you. So if somebody has a question for you, you can jump right in there. Be on the web. Bring it on down.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate you letting me be on the call. My currency has already been donated into my trust. So when I go to Wells Fargo, I'll be taking my own trust for them to set up. Is
Perfect.
this going to cause a problem?
Nope. You're ahead of the curve.
Okie dokie. I'll unmute myself.
All right. Richard, if you could mute yourself on your end, please. Kansas City, Missouri, 816. Come on down.
Is that me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Your numbers are just boggling my mind today. When I hear these numbers, I'm thinking, oh, is this possible?
Well, that's why I've recorded it. You can go back and listen to it. Get your pencil and paper handy.
Right. My question is, me and my husband, neither one, we haven't been in this very long, and we haven't ever had any dealings with trust. We went to the library and got a guide that says to wills and trust, but he found some things in it. He said that is, several years old. He said, I don't think this is going to pertain to now. Is there a best book that you can tell me to get so we can understand how to do these trusts, how they work, and, so that when we get there, we're not like dummies?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the website of the trust that I'm using, and I like this particular website because when you click on the tabs, it gives an explanation with the IRS code to go with it so you can look them up and understand. And also, there's a gentleman on the call here, but we don't have much time left, and so I'm trying to get quite a few people, a couple people in. So the website you need to go to is masterstrust.com. That's plural. Masters with an S.
Masterstrust.com.
Yes.
Okay, because we've just been trying to study up on this all we can. And
are you in my forum?
No, I can't. Have you got a forum you can join?
No. Do you have my email address? Do you have my email address?
Nope.
Okay. My email address is the wingitcall@gmail.com.
Wingitcall@gmail.com?
And my website is the
Oh, okay.
And it will.
Okay.
You'll find a lot of information there, and you can. It has my email address there also.
Okay. Now I found you on Detectives, and I've been reading there, and then this is my first time being on your call. So
Sure. Well, welcome. Welcome.
I thought I'd come in and find out about this because we've just been saying we need to know more about trust.
Well, there you go. And if on my homepage, on the homepage for the wingitcall.com is instructions on how to follow me on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, I appreciate this, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here we go. Was it Des Plaines, Illinois? 224. Come on down. Des Plaines,
Hi
Illinois.
there.
How you doing?
Hi there.
Des Plaines. Can you hear me?
Question for you is, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, you're going to get this. You get the structure payout for the ZIM. You get either structure payout or non-structure payout for the other money. Then you can take whatever money you have, which would be the 25% or whatever, plus whatever would not be structured, and you can put that in other banks. Then when you get your structured payout, your interest every quarter, you can diversify that into 4 banks. Wells being one, and then the other 3 or whatever you want to put them in. So you're still able to diversify off the bat, and then you can still diversify your interest as you go along so that you feel more comfortable just not being in one bank. That you could diversify in a couple, keeping those as one of them and going off to a couple different ones. Is that how I'm taking it?
Absolutely.
And you don't even have to diversify back into wells.
Yeah.
That
what?
money is yours to do whatever you want. That interest payment that you get every 90 days is completely yours to control. You don't have to put that back into wells at all. You're simply leaving your principal with wells at all times.
Right, but I think a lot of people's fears were that you had Wells was going to get everything, and you really weren't able to diversify, but you will be able to diversify immediately with the 25% or whatever that percentage is.
That's correct.
And your other funds, if it's not. But then
you got to
every time
understand
you get money,
you have a structured payout for the ZIM, and then you have a structured payout for each other currency if you reach a certain level. It's not all lumped together. I just want to be clear because you weren't very clear on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. But whatever funds you have, you can diversify it into 4 different banks, Wells being one of them, and just every time you get your interest payment, you can spread them across several different banks. So I think people's fears are that you can't diversify. You know, you've always been told don't put your eggs all in one basket, but you really are able to diversify pretty quickly if that's what makes you a little more comfortable, which was my fear is that I wasn't able to diversify. I didn't need all of it. I just wanted a good portion of it that I can at least feel myself a little bit in control, that I have some money that is set aside in other places and keep the majority of it well. That's perfectly, a logical thing to do. And if they're going to be the makers of the plan, they should be pretty well versed in what's going on, and to make sure that they're profitable and make us all happy. So thank you for your help.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was good questions. So our last person for the day, Denver, Colorado, 303. Come on down.
Hello, Jerry. How are you today?
Just fine. How are you, ma'am?
I am great. My question is, I believe it was ICO that said he was going to take the master trust and then he was going to get 14 or 15 other trusts underneath that skeleton trust. My question is, Are you able to do that with the money that is held back in the structured payout, to do those trusts within that, or is it the money that has been released to you that you're going to do those trusts underneath the skeleton trust?
Yeah, it's the latter thing you said. That you have to think of the Wells Fargo. You have to think of the structured payout as another revenue stream for your for your personal trust.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I will have a master trust, and I will have many other trusts, sub-trusts underneath that are all funded by the money I have control over. And part of that.
And as that new money comes in, you will diversify it into the different trusts that you want it to come in through the interest.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. That really cleared it up for me.
Jerry, this is Richard. Could I make an observation?
Sure, and we're going to take one more caller after this because I see a number that's familiar, and I believe it's Imperium in Vineland, New Jersey. So, yes, go ahead.
Unless I misunderstood, she said that someone was going to take a master's trust under the skeleton trust.
No.
No? Yeah, because if you have that trust, you don't need to do the skeleton trust. You just go right into the trust.
Okay.
Now maybe I misunderstood the question, but if you have an irrevocable trust that offers asset protection and tax deferral, you don't need to go into that skeleton trust. You just have them. You're going to have hopefully you'll have your bank account set up, and when you're ready for them to deposit money after you've discussed and negotiated, it's going to go right into your bank accounts at Wells Fargo, into your trust bank accounts. You don't need to do the skeleton trust.
She's still there. Ma'am, are you still there?
Yes, I am. So it really doesn't matter whether it's a skeleton trust or another kind of a trust as long as it is a trust. And then if it's the master's trust, the rules would still apply that 90% or that 75% would be put into the master's trust. And
No,
it would
you have it wrong. You have it wrong. The 75% goes to the bank and the 25% goes to the master's trust, and then any interest off of the Wells Fargo portion goes into your trust, and it goes from one trust to another, and that keeps it from being a taxed event. Okay?
So you need to have a skeleton trust then for the 90% to keep it from being a taxable event?
No, you don't need a skeleton. You don't. If you have I kind of, it's not just any trust, but you have to have, if you want asset protection or you want asset protection and tax deferral, you have to have it. First of all, it has to be a irrevocable trust to have either one of those two, a revocable family trust or anything revocable, or most things even irrevocable do not offer both asset protection and tax deferral. You're not going to have to go into a skeleton trust. You're going to negotiate it into your irrevocable trust, and the money's just going to be deposited there. The initial money is going to go into your trust accounts with the trust that you have set up. If it's a master's trust, fine. And then the quarterly payments are going to be deposited right into the same account. You do not need to do a skeleton trust. It's a step that you just don't need to do.
So as long as that money is sitting in the 90%, say the 90% is sitting in the structured account, whether it's taxable or not, it's going to be safe.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a structured account. It's going to be, you're going to have bank accounts, and by the time that they start structuring it in, you may even have more bank accounts, even on the private bank side or off of the commercial or the retail side of the bank. Retail.
Yeah.
Thank you. you're going to have more accounts on the private side, and it's not that you're going to have an account that's going to be structured. There's going to be a payout that's going to be structured, and those payments are just going to be deposited each quarter into your trust bank accounts.
Okay.
That you work it out. Yeah, so you don't need a skeleton account for there's no payout account.
Okay. I think I understand this time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, on to literally our last caller. I believe this is Imperium. There he is right there. Last caller. Best for last. Imperium, is that you?
That's me, Jer.
Go
How
ahead.
you doing?
Take us home. Take us
Good.
home.
Listen. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Iko. Hi, Art. Listen, I've been listening to all of your calls. I've been with you guys. I've needed to pull back a little bit, and I wanted to say I was compelled to call in and throw my hat in the ring. I heard Iko. I heard the program that you described, and I want to say that my. This is really, really interesting. I've had my program and my whole plan waiting to be funded for 12 years, and very extensively internationally. And this changes the whole landscape. If what Iko described is true, and I believe it is because he's a man of integrity, this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing because you can continue with your plan, but you could fund it from the interest. That's it. Just continue as usual. But if Wells is going to do this, and you can negotiate these big rates and set up a structured program, it's awesome. It's totally awesome, and they're protecting it by their entire organization. You can't get better than that. That is absolutely fabulous. I sound like I'm pumping the bank. I'm pumping the program. I really like it. It sounds really, really good, and I'm excited. That's it.
Yeah, and Karen, don't worry about that. Jerry and I are taking all the internet blame for pumping the bank. So you go ahead with the program.
No, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. When I say it changes the landscape, what it means is I'm going to cut up. I'm going to make like a gap. My starting point is going to be with Wells. It looks like so far, and then I'll just tack my existing plan onto that. Feed it from Wells.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
It really, if you take the time to look at it from a logical financial perspective, with the constraints of you have to be, if you have Zim, you have to deal with Wells Fargo. You have to. Otherwise, you don't have Zim. As far as the rest of the world's concerned. Exactly.
And that's the clincher. That's the clincher for all the complaints about, well, it's my money. Well, listen, if you want the deal, this is part of the package. It's a product.
Exactly.
Take it or leave it.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. That's the best way to put that. I was trying to say the same thing, but redneck's a little too. Yeah. Thank you very much, Imperium.
Okay, guys.
You're in the forum, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm staying in touch with everything. I'm just pulled away, but I'm in touch.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, guy.
Bye-bye.
Be well, boys.
Thanks, Imperium.
So I guess it is that time to where we need take us home.
All right.
Pastor.
Awesome. Father, we ask in Jesus' name these truths go down into our heart. We understand them in our head, and we can have peace because you are our peace. Bless the people that put on this program, the people that listen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So I'm going to do this a little backwards. Thank everybody for showing up. Hopefully we won't have to be here tomorrow, so that we all can have those moments where the umbrella drinks are looking really good. Take a designated driver with you so that when you leave the exchange, you can have a calming toddy. All right. Okay, everybody. Say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
The conference is now completed. Goodbye.